All right.
We'll call this meeting to order and we'll need an election of a chairperson. Is there a nomination of a chairperson?
I nominate Angie Lawrence.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, we didn't need a second. I'm sorry. Vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We don't need that, do we?
You gotta do that multiple nomination.
No, we don't. Not for this. You don't. I checked earlier. I thought the same thing. Kim. Yeah, we will close nominations. So is there a motion to close nominations? Second? Second? Thank you. And I did think the same thing. So, and with that, introduction of the parliamentarian, Hannah Nussbaum. Hello, thank you so much for coming. You don't look like Lloyd at all.
It's a lot nicer, right?
Please correct and feel free to step in because we get used to our old ways and this one's a little bit different. So thank you for your willingness to be here and be our parliamentarian. The next is the designated district clerk to see the official minutes. I'll designate Robert or I'll designate Robert. Okay, Robert?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, best.
Reports, there's no action that are needed on these reports. We have the treasurer's report.
Yeah, treasurer, let's see, total district receipts, what we're looking at this year, proceeds, total district receipts, 43,011,527. Proceeds of long-term debt were negative 21,300,000. Net receipts
21,000.
21,900,000.
Oh my goodness.
That's why you're the 21,711,527. So consisting of local property taxes was 5,573,765 or 26%. State sources 10,124,124, which is 47%. Federal sources were 3,504,407. About 16%, and then other sources were 2,509,231, 12%. So that was receipts. Total district expenditures were 24,058,861. Salaries and benefits was 14,077,000, or about 59%. Purchase services was 4,754,660 for 20%. Supplies and capital objects were 3,859,709, 16%. And debt service, 1,051,159 for 4%. And then insurance and other costs was 316,333 for 1%. So.
The clerk's report.
It's me, it's there. I'm not gonna be as fast as the man. So in 2022 to 2023 year, Mr. Lloyd Hardy, our high school, middle school ag teacher, retired after 33 years service. Welcome him.
Thank you.
His illustrious replacement. Steve Simons, high school science teacher for 26 years. And scholarships. $114,265.98 in total scholarships were presented to the class of 2023. We had two new scholarships: Vernon County Museum Endowment Fund, Sharon J. Stolson Scholarship, Viroqua Area Rotary Club, Gary J. Krause Memorial Scholarship. Donations. Yeah, a very giving community. The board was pleased to accept approximately $47,763 in donations during the 2022-23 school year. The Viroqua community continued to provide additional support to our students and contributions from clubs, parent organizations, local businesses, and individuals. As a board, we'd like to express our thanks and appreciation for this generation and the support of our students and programs. The Big League Pool District entered into an agreement with La Crosse Area YMC for the operation of the pool beginning in the spring of 2022. 2022-23 was the first full year of operation of the pool in over 10 years. The partnership with the YMCA has resulted in increased utilization of the pool by our community throughout the year, including the winter months. We renewed the Viroqua Area Montessori School Charter, the Laurel High School Charter, and the Vernon County Better Futures High School Charter. And this is good for another 5 years. Another highlight is the Early Learning Center. In response to our community's vast need for childcare desert, I think they call it, the district purchased and remodeled the former Fairhaven Assisted Living Facility into a childcare center to help the district increase the available childcare opportunities in our community. We were able to purchase a former assisted living building by using district funds, one-time federal assistance, and available state grants. The district partnered with HSR Architects and Myron Construction on design and construction or remodel of the Early Learning Center. This facility opened in March of 2023. It's a year-round, full-service childcare program that is licensed for children 6 weeks to 11 years of age. Maintenance projects during the 2022-2023 school year. We were able to invest in year 3 of our accelerated bus purchasing plan by purchasing 5 new buses. Some of the other larger projects completed during this last school year included the purchase of an elementary gym floor, the sanding and sealing of it, and the continued security camera upgrades. ESSER funds. The district continued to utilize ESSER funding to help respond to the pandemic and its effect on students and communities. During the 22-23 school year, the district continued our reading and math intervention program, along with providing resources to improve educational experience for high school students identified as being at risk of not being successful. The elementary school expended funds to complete the replacement of the outdated heating and air conditioning equipment and to improve our outdoor educational equipment with new playground. That's not for you, man. November 2022, the voters of our district approved 2 capital referendum questions totaling $20,500,000 to expand and improve our career and technical education facilities, improve traffic flow and security throughout the district, address Americans with Disability Act accessibility requirements, and add additional classrooms. We are currently in the bidding phase with construction estimated to begin in January. Your school board and administration are appreciated the community support for our schools and students. Board info. Workshop topics included academic achievement, the ELA, math, science, and social studies data, board legislative linkage, annual board development evaluation, and developing training and facilities planning. In April, Dana Holfelder and Matt Tubin were elected as board members. Welcome, Dana, and welcome back, Matt. We'd like to thank Amanda Running for her 15 years of service as a board member. Now the First Lady. The community conversation event was held in November to begin the strategic planning process. Spotlight on education topics included sources of strength, BAM's adolescent classroom, FFA, Middle School Drama Club, Skills USA, 4th grade heritage projects, and the state capitol field trip. That concludes my report.
All right. And Robert, I'm going to give you the same line I give you every time you read the report. I'm tired after hearing that report every time, but
Everything's going on, right?
that's a lot going on. As you can see, you guys can read through my district administrator report. I don't need to read it to you. Robert already went into detail about the referendum that passed. So we were very thankful to pass two referendum questions, one for 17 million and then question 2 for 3.5 million, totaling 20.5 million. One thing to note that I do think is worth mentioning, and so we'll talk about a little bit, is the district was able to, due to its credit rating, we're able to grab a true interest rate for our referendum of 3.71%. And so when we look at this, we budgeted 4.75%, which we were actually thinking at the time, if you remember back to where interest rates were, that was a very real possibility that we would be at that 4.75. That interest rate dropping the 1% and some change actually is going to save taxpayers for Viroqua area schools $2.3 million over the next 20 years in interest. So that's a huge savings to the taxpayers. And so following through with that, I really want to highlight a major thing that we did last year, which was the community conversation. I do apologize. I'm going to have to take a couple of breaks here. I'm a little under the weather yet. Last November, in the first week of November, we had 80 people that were here for the community conversations. And that was a 3-day event, which was a marathon at the time, but really was led by Drew Howick from Howick and Associates down in the Madison area, and created clear expectations from our community and what they expect from us as a district. And was a great foundation for us to move into this next phase, which we're going to learn about tonight, which is our district strategic planning phase. And so when we come through, we had a team that was assembled that met throughout the summer, which was incredible, for 6 meetings, and people gave their time and their talent. That process was led by Dennis Pauly, who's the superintendent down in Edgerton and leads this work throughout the state. And in the end, they came up with 6 core areas that we need to focus on. I won't get too far into the weeds because I think that's a great conversation to happen in our next meeting, but you can read them there. And really that flows right into the work that we had already been doing, right? We just didn't have a framework and we didn't have guidance on where we were going with it. So the board for the last probably 2.5 years has started data workshops where we look at the data throughout the district, talk about trend lines, and then talk about, essentially what are the expectations moving forward. But even so, they've been based on, I would say, loose expectations, because we haven't had some guiding principles for what our priorities should be within the data. We have those now, and we'll continue to work on those. And we welcomed Governor Tony Evers early this spring. We also welcomed him back early in the fall, the first day of school. So we hadn't had a sitting governor in 40 years at Viroqua area schools. And then he decided to come twice in 6 months. So that was a very welcome surprise both times that call was made to me. So the first time, which is the one in last school year, which we want to feature, they did a tour of the elementary building and then also toured the early learning center. I got to meet with the fourth grade students, which was absolutely outstanding. And something I don't think those kids are going to forget. It was really, really cool. And put a different context when they get to go to the Capitol, right? And it means something different when you met this person. We also met the Lieutenant Governor, Sarah Rodriguez, and she was outstanding as well. It's been a really crazy and awesome year. And reflecting upon it is always, it's just a treat to go back through and go, wow, we did some outstanding work. And you get to put it in one page and there's so many things that we leave out. But I just really wanted to get to the big highlights for this year.
The next item is approval of the minutes for September 19th, 2022, 21-22 annual meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
They appear on pages 9 to 11. The book.
Anyone here can make a motion, by the way.
Yep.
This is not just
Yep.
us. This is a community. Meeting. So Matt made the motion. Is there a second to approve the minutes? Did Robert make a motion? Did you approve? Did you make a second?
I can.
Oh, no, I didn't think I heard.
I'll second it.
Make a second.
I was waiting for the crowd to get engaged.
So do we, everyone to? The next item then is presentation of the budget and other post-employment benefits trust annual report. Mike, would you like to share that with us,
Yep.
please?
So if you go to your booklet, if you picked up a booklet on page 19 of that booklet is the proposed budget for 23-24. This budget was presented or published in the Vernon County Times, local newspaper, and was approved at a previous board meeting. If you look at the far right column, that is the budget column, 23-24 school year. The estimated 22-23 is where we assume, following our audit, those aren't audited numbers as that audit report hasn't been issued yet. But that's where we assume the 22-23 and then the audited numbers in the far left column for 21-20. We're going to focus on the 23-24. The beginning fund balance of the general fund is anticipated will begin at $4,041,584.40. And we will have total revenues or budgeting total revenues of $16,284,585 and total expenses of $16,534,585. This is a decrease of $250,000 in the fund balance, revenues less than budgeted expenditures. This has been something we've had to do in the last couple of years as our expenditures are increasing greater than our ability to raise revenues. And we did have excess fund balance from where the board felt was an appropriate level to go, and it was an appropriate use of that fund balance. We don't over budget in any category or under budget to create or use that fund balance. But this budget right now is presented with a $250,000 decrease. The total revenues again, $16,284,585 consisted of local property taxes of $4,335,238, an increase of $190,000. Open enrollment revenue, payments for services, $931,040. This is based on the new per pupil amount. And we are anticipating 105 students open enrolling into the district. And those numbers are being calculated and reconciled with the other districts on a daily basis right now. State revenues of $9,619,633. This consists of general aid of $8,410,145, which is an increase of 6.67%. That's primarily due to our shared costs during the 22-23 school year, increasing by about 7%, which then increases your aid you receive based on shared costs. Other revenue, $863,918 in the state sources, and that includes $782,000, which is a per pupil aid based on $742 per day. Our federal revenues budgeted at $1,087,639. Special project grants, $573,084. A majority of that is ESSER funding yet for one more year. And we have our Title I grants of $364,000 for the district. Jumping ahead, compensation for sale of fixed assets, $255,000. That is what we are anticipating of receiving on the sale of our buses as part of that program to change out the buses. And again, then total revenue is 16,284,585. Total expenditures and other sources, 16,534,585. Pretty consistent in our budgeted expenditures for where we have expended money in the past. One difference you will see is in that business administration section. That's basically reflective of some larger projects that we were able to do with ESSER funding. And so that's where that number is returning more to a normal budgeted number. Our instructional service payments include 1,713,195, include about $1 million in open enrollment expenditures based on an anticipation of 120 students. And the remainder of that is voucher students or expenditures budgeted of 572,911. And that's based on 54 students at 98.93 per student for ages K through 8, and 5 students 9 through 12 at 12,387 per student. Those numbers will change, not the per student amount, but the number of students. We have no ability to really have that until the aid certification on October 15th. So what happens with that is they will inform us how much our voucher money or how much of our tax levy can go to vouchers, and they'll increase our revenue limit accordingly for that amount. In essence, allowing us to increase our property taxes for. The special projects funds for us is primarily Fund 21, which is our gifts and that. The amount budgeted for that is 21,000 in revenues and 19,000. Fund 27 is our special education fund. Total revenues and expenses by definition have to balance, so there is no fund balance for that. And the local share of the special education program is reflected in the transfer from the general fund. That number 1,549,879 is a slight increase from the previous year. Other revenues in the special education fund, state categorical aid, we're budgeting 701,199. That's based on 33.3% of prior year aid costs. You get your aid a year after you spend the money in Fund 27. And then we are budgeting right now IDEA funds of 338,000 and Medicaid revenues of 115,000 for a total revenues of 2,712,845. As I said, expenditures are budgeted for equal to that 2,712,845. Majority of that is just the special education curriculum and costs associated with that. We do have some outside services budgeted for outside placements, 114,500 budget for that at this point. And those numbers tend to go up and down based on our actual needs. And moving ahead to the debt service, for us, it's Fund 38 and 39. Fund 38 includes debt not approved through referendum. Fund 39 is debt approved through referendum. They're presented here together. Total revenues and other financing sources of 1,287,460. Expenditures of 1,709,235. Decreasing that fund balance in the Fund 38, which a majority of that was created by the bond issuance and the premium in that. We will utilize that premium in the second year, and that will drive that down a little bit. And our indebtedness at the end of the year is anticipated to be 21,055,000 after payments in 23. Capital projects funds, that is where those proceeds of the long-term debt for the projects are being recorded. The beginning fund balance of 20,081,76642 will reduce to 13,441,16642. And we're not budgeting any revenues. There will be revenues for interest income. It will be significant. We are limited as to what we can earn on our investments during the construction based on the arbitrage rules. But so right now, we're not budgeting any. The amount that's budgeted for expenditures of $6,640,600 is strictly from the draw schedule that was created by Myron back when we sized and planned our investments after the passage of the referendum. Those numbers could shift up and more depending on, or later after June 30th, depending on when they can start construction and what projects they can start in. So that's the capital projects. Food service fund, beginning fund balance 436,696.34. We are projecting that fund balance to decrease again. The DPI has been working with us to try to reduce our fund balances at an accumulated at a level higher than they were comfortable with, and budgeting revenues of $560,250 and expenditures of $712,960. Community Service Fund, Fund 80, that is where we operate the Big League Pool and the DLC. Total revenues and other financing sources, we are budgeting $965,132 and total expenditures of $714,511. In that revenue amount, $735,132 is tax levy and $230,000 is revenue for child care services. In the total expenses of $714,511, the non-program transactions being reported is a transfer to Fund 38 to make the debt payments on the money borrowed for both the purchase and the remodeling of the ELC. And then we have the costs the rest of the costs between the community services and the support services are the costs to both operate the pool and the budgeted costs to operate the pool. Package Cooperative Fund, Funds 99 for us, and Fund 98. Total revenues of $198,276. Total expenditures of $198,276. Again, these have to be zeroed. Construction of $194,270 and support service $4,006. The proposed property tax levy for the 23-24 school year, the total levy as of this publication was $6,095,619. That is an increase of $521,854 from the $5,573,765. By fund, that levy, that increase is $185,494 in the general fund for the general operating levy, and $336,360 for the referendum approved debt service fund. Community service fund of $735,132 is remaining at the same level that it was levied last year. This is a dollar increase of $521,854 or 9.36% increase. The equalized value presented here is last year's equalized value. That then results in a mill rate going to $7.87. That's a 67-cent increase or 9.36%. We do know that our equalized value has increased on average of 11.78% over the previous year, which will drive down the mill rate. But as it's being discussed throughout the state, much of that increase is inflationary based, meaning the property values are going up and that the net new construction has remained relatively stable throughout the state of Wisconsin. So we're cautious to rely solely on mill rate now that we have that situation, because honestly, the tax dollars being paid are being spread across relatively the same taxpayers without that net new construction. And that's not uncommon throughout the entire state. It still makes mill rate something very valuable to use as a comparison model with other school districts and other taxing jurisdictions. But as far as the actual tax dollars that an individual taxpayer pays, it's probably best to look at it based on the current equalized value. We do graphically show, where our money comes from and where it is going. That is on page 24. As you can tell, obviously our salaries of $7,249,904, it's 44% of our anticipated expenditures, and our fringe benefits of $3,476,314, that's 21%. That does include a increase in our health insurance costs for the first time in like 6 or 7 years that we've had to significantly increase our health insurance costs that we're budgeting. And it also includes some increases for salaries accordingly are already built into this. Next on the next tables, our membership, state equalization aid, and property tax mill rate. Each of these numbers is going to change. The 2023 enrollment is estimated. Where our actual count date is Thursday, since we did not have school on the third Friday again this year. Our aid estimate, we won't find out how close we are until October 15th, when the aid certification is presented to us. We use the Baird model, utilizing the best information that they have at that time and where we fall on that model for our predictions. But this year I anticipate could be a relatively large swing, just based on the number of districts that either over or underspent their budget based on where they had projected to do so. The property tax mill rate, again, this is based on equal valuation for 23-24. As you can tell, our mill rate has continued to go down basically at the rate of inflation. Our other post-employment benefit trust annual report, the district over a number of years contributed money to a post-employment benefit trust fund for the benefit to pay future post-employment benefits of district staff. On July 1st, 2022, the total plan assets equaled $1,776,139.83. We made our annual contribution equal to our amount that we had pulled out for the pay-as-you-go expenditures, resulting in net new contribution to the fund. Our interest and change value was $155,719, which really was reflective of the recovery of the loss from the previous year. Still have not recovered that full loss as the market had went down so much in the 21-22 school year. The funds dispersed, again, $293,000. The rest is the fees, the investment fees of $60,959.90, leaving a value at the end of the year of $1,924,898.99, which is available to pay post-employment benefits for this. That is the end of presentation.
Thank you. The next item is item 6, which is the hearing on the proposed budget. So with that, are there any questions?
Sure.
Actually,
Why don't you, do you mind standing so we can hear you better? Thank you.
So my name is Sandy Mallia, for those of you who don't know me, and I have talked to Mike about this, and I just have a couple of comments, so I hope that you'll indulge me a little bit. My concern is with Fund 80, or the Community Service Fund. I know that funds the pool and the daycare center. And I know that, after talking to Mike, that we are budgeting about $200,000 for the use of the pool, which is fine. I know that pools are very expensive, and that's what we need to budget. But I was disappointed last year when I realized that the students don't get a chance to swim during the day or learn how to swim during the school year. So I was disappointed in that. I know that we offer swim lessons in the summer, but that's not always an option for parents. And so I feel like we're paying a lot of money. And the main purpose of the pool was to teach our students to swim. And I don't feel that we're doing. So that's my concern about the pool. With the daycare center, I know that we have a terrible shortage of daycare in the community, and I'm not arguing that at all. I am concerned that the school district is footing the whole bill for that. So I know that parents are paying part of it and that, but we have spent almost $2 million to buy the building and to refinish it or to make it a daycare. And now last year, the costs were $700,000 for startup and operation. This year, we're looking at another $365,000 that the taxpayers are paying directly. And I don't feel like we've had a voice in saying that we want to do this. I know it's been at the annual meeting last year, but there weren't many people here last year. I think there were 3 of us. So I don't feel like we're being transparent and telling people that the $365,000 that we're levying is for the 70 children that are at the daycare center. And I understand, but I don't think that we should bear the full brunt of it. So I guess my question is, what's the plan going forward? I know at some point we would like that to be self-sufficient, but I think we're a long ways off from that. So as we get more kids and the costs get higher and there's maintenance that has to be done on the building, are we just going to levy more because we can? I don't feel like we have a police. So that's my concern. Thank you.
The one thing that I can say is actually there was at the annual meeting, there was a vote to purchase this building or not. And there were a lot of people there. So there was community input at that time about purchasing the building for a child care center.
I was under the impression when we purchased the building that it was going to be used for like the 4K kids, that it was going to be an urban learning center. And that we were going to free up some space in the elementary because we were locked for classroom space. That was my understanding.
Yeah, so
That's-
I think that there's a couple things there, I mean, that you've touched on, and obviously the fear here is the unknown. And I think that's a fear that we share as well. And I think that that's, one that historically with others that have used similar systems that we're using as far as using Fund 80 as the vehicle, a means to an end, hopefully, right? Which is that you're operating, at a net neutral to the district. We're seeing between 3 and 5 years for that to happen. And so again, the variables that we can't control and that I really wish we would know more about are different subsidies to help childcare centers. Now, we've been promised by many politicians that you were going to have those, right? We're going to have all of this help. And I sure hope that we get some additional help with that, because obviously that was going to lessen the burden on our local taxpayers. But again, this right now, as far as, this operating, we are, every month is getting better as far as how the books look. And as we grow, we actually, are maximizing our capacity. But really, we're not adding any more staff at this point until we know we have a waiting list that is that is able to cover that. And so we're now at a point where that growth is absolutely controlled in a way that until we have that, next group of students, coming through that can support a net neutral, we aren't moving forward with that. But we currently are in that situation right now where we're looking to hire, because we have a waiting list of 11, I believe, in the one group. And so that's where now that makes sense. We can financially make that work. And so, yes, as far as a clear, yes, here's when, this is when this is going to be, cash flow neutral. I don't have that. That's what makes it uncomfortable. And I totally understand that. But overall, again, the way that we're projecting and the way that we are gaining students, it's really a positive and much faster than most centers in towns our size. We are much farther ahead than most districts are that are running this.
If I could also add that the property value that we purchased is worth way more than, right? And so if we needed to sell it, we would make a significant profit to our district, to our, community or taxpayers on it. So we knew when we purchased it at such a discounted price that it had great value for our community, moving forward. If it had to cost.
It's just hard to close it once you start.
Absolutely. And we have compared it with other school districts that have done the same thing, and they have become, we're not in this business to make any money. It's just to break even. That's the goal. And so they have been neutral as far as the cost after, I think it's 3 years.
3 years was typical. However, with the subsidies, it depends on again, how centers are being subsidized by the state and federal government. It really depends. We're in a different ballgame right now, and you can see our state lawmakers going back and forth on a couple of spending pieces right now in regards to this.
Well, I really hope that that's the case, and that we're cost neutral at some point, and that we don't have to worry about it anymore. But I just want people to be aware that this is what we're paying for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other questions? The only thing I would like Mike or Tom, the voucher system is something that people have had a lot of misinformation about or confusion about. And we have a school in our district that is part of the voucher program. And Mike, I'm wondering if you could share a little bit of information about how that works and how our taxpayers fund that type of program. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, that's fine. It's not a very simple, I mean,
No, nothing
it's
is
not a
perfect.
simple answer. But basically 3-4 years ago, I think now, was a little track. You're right, Angie, one of our local school districts, or one of our local private schools entered into the voucher program as it was expanded, and we started seeing on our revenue limit worksheet on October 15th an amount that was representative of the payments to voucher schools. Started out at about 72,000, increased to 245 last year. Was, as we discussed, it kept going up. And the way that works is to the district, it does not, it is shown as an expense, but they allow us to raise our revenues for that by increasing the revenue limit, which then allows you to levy more in the general fund. So in essence, that money that they're taking away from us in our aid payments is being recovered by the local tax. And they also increased the per pupil amount during this last biennial budget.
Specifically to students that are enrolled in the voucher program.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
so-
wanted.
Yeah,
people to
so it
understand.
doesn't hurt us, but it hurts the taxpayers. That's, in the end, that's what it is. And so to put it in perspective, we're, with all things considered, we're looking at around 5.5 million out of our levy that's coming to the public school, roughly, right? I don't have that exact number right in front of me. To educate 1,037 students. Our local taxpayers are paying 550,000 this next year to educate 57 in our private schools, because it's a direct hit on our local taxpayers. And that's not controversial. That's not anything that is saying to stir anything up. That is legitimately what happens, is they pay a percent. You as the local Viroqua taxpayers pay a percentage of Viroqua area schools, students, and you pay the entire bill for your private schools, for students that reside within your district and go to a private voucher school. That's the difference. But that's real, and that obviously has an impact on our local taxpayers. That's a lot of money.
So I just wanted to try to clarify that, because I don't think people really understand quite how that works. Plus, this, the students that go there could also not live within our,
That's just from those that would reside within our district.
just those.
Yep.
Just like they
So we
could,
get-
our district residents do attend private schools outside.
Which is where when we were at the 72,000, it was a lot of going to high schools up in lacrosse and
Mhm.
things along those lines. Sorry about our screen, guys. I'm not sure what's going on.
Appears the recording is going.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
good.
Okay. So any other questions? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution to authorize the Board of Education to establish the tax levy up to the full amount allowed under the state imposed revenue limits as is necessary to support the district. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And now I'm going to ask everyone to vote on this. So all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, vote by saying nay. Motion carries. Thank you for that. The next item is new business, and this is just setting salaries for the school board members. I would entertain a pardon?
Unless you're making motions.
I move Board of Education salaries be reinstated to the salaries as of the 22-23 school year. President, $2,000, vice president, $1,600, clerk, $1,900, treasurer, $1,780, and all other members, $1,600.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Opposed? Thank you. It's been that same salary for
Remember,
ever.
A really long time.
A really long time, so just so everyone is aware of that as well. The next item is the authorization of disposal of surplus school property.
Board members' expenses.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. I would need a motion here by someone else as well. Entertain a motion that the Board of Education members be paid their actual necessary expenses when traveling and the performance of duties as board members and reimbursement for any actual loss of earnings not to exceed $75 per day when required by his or her duties as a board member to be absent from his or her regular employment.
so
Second,
Second.
you just,
Who was the second?
Sandy.
Thank you.
All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is C, authorization of disposal of surplus school property. I would entertain a motion that the Board of Education be authorized to sell any property belonging to and not needed by the school district. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that topic? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Set the annual meeting date, authorize the board to set the 23-24 annual meeting date. Entertain a motion. Somebody else should read it. Someone else to make that motion.
I'll make that motion, that I like Board of Education be like this, so.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you.
Should that be for 24?
No, it's,
No.
it's
23.
this school year's.
This school year.
Yeah, because it would
Yeah.
be this
Right.
year's report. yeah.
Right. Thank you. With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Other new business that the electors are explicitly authorized by law to address during the annual school district meeting. Pardon me? There isn't any. With that, a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor? I don't think I need an all, do I?
Does have a full-
Vote.
You can vote, you can say.
Hannah, do we need to vote on this?
To
That's-
adjourn?
Do we need an all eye to adjourn? I didn't think so.
No.
So we are adjourned. We really appreciate everyone coming. Our regular board meeting is now going to start. You are all more than welcome to stay because there's some pretty good stuff going on.
And are you gonna take a break?
I don't know. Do we need a break or do you want to just go?
Kim took a break. so.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.